In this video we're going to get the rocket to follow a path and zoom off into the distance. And we're going to use a couple of little tricks for this. So with our rocket animation already open, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and put the rocket off the stage. Now we're going to do that so that the rocket comes onto the stage and goes off into the distance. Of course, I'll shrink it down in size considerably. The first thing I will do is I might get rid of all those frames so we're on the same page. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go to about frame 48, 50, around about 2 seconds. So the audience is looking at pretty well a star field or something at the start. So I'll make a keyframe there. So the rocket really doesn't appear or start to go anywhere except from that frame. Now I'm going to go up to frame 150 or thereabouts, and this time I'll insert just a normal frame, not a keyframe, a normal frame. Take my playhead back to my start, and I might make the rocket a bit bigger. I'll zoom in, Command plus, and if I click on the rocket and hit Q, or I'll use my selection tool first to move it around, Q to make it larger. Now, normally I hold the shift button down and change the size, but I'm going to click on the rocket and go to the object's properties, and you'll see here you can lock the dimensions of the X and Y. So I'm going to just drag that number there, and it will drag both sizes and it will resize it appropriately. Now, right click on my tween and create a motion tween. Take my playhead to the end and drag my rocket up to roughly where I've finished. And you'll see it's created that motion tween line. I'll straighten it up a little bit so it follows the line a bit better. Might go back to the start and do the same thing at the keyframe, just straighten my rocket up a little bit so it's looking directly along the path. And it will go along that path that I've made. Well, that's fine. It's not doing anything particularly clever, but it is working. Now, what do I need to do here? Well, I want to make it very small. So I'll click on my rocket, go to my object properties, and I'm going to drag down and make it much, much smaller. Now, it's pretty small, but I'm still not happy. I will need to move it now, though, because it's off the stage, and I want it to disappear whilst on the stage. And you'll see why once we've completed the animation. I'll make it smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm going to get it down to 1, which is almost invisible. Click on my V tool because I don't want to change its size or do anything weird. And I'll just put it around about there. I could go back and resize it down to 1, even smaller. And at 1, it's kind of almost, or 0.95 in this case, it's pretty well off the screen. So when I play it, you'll see the rocket disappearing. That looks okay. So what else am I going to do? Well, I'm going to ease the rocket. As it goes off into the distance, I want it to slow down a little bit. Start off fast and slow down. So click on the motion tween and you'll see you've got this thing here. Orient to path, which I will click on that and I'll tick that box. And also I'll set my easing. Where is it? I'm going to set my easing to 100 out, easing it out. Orient to path. Set my easing. Let's play it now. Oh, I might bend it actually. I'll bend it a little bit so it swings around. Now you can do what you like with yours. Make sure you're doing the steps. So now it follows that around and it zips off. Not bad. There's a few things I want to fix though. So I'm going to zoom, take my rocket back to around about where I started to see it turning around, which is about here. Command plus to zoom in. And if I look at my rocket and I'll click on it, hit my Q button, I'm just going to turn it around so it follows that path a little more effectively. And I'm going to take my playhead back down again, drag my playhead down. That's not too bad there, that's following the path. Quite happy with that. I'll take it back to the start, move around a bit. It's not quite where I want it there. So I'll turn that around a little bit so that the nose of the rocket is on the path. Go down to the very first frame, and that looks pretty good there. So now when I play it, it should do, or should follow that path a lot more closely. Now, the next thing I want to do is ease the rocket. And I've double-clicked on my motion tween, and you can see it opens an ease dialog box. You can stretch that up a little bit. And the ones I'm interested in are the X and Y easing. So I'm going to change those a little bit from what was the standard to something a little bit different, which is fast. So down the bottom you'll see the slow ease just here. When I click on that, I can make that faster. Now I could, if I really wanted to, move that right down to the bottom and go custom. And when I click on that, you'll see those dialog boxes you may have met before in some of the other videos, where you can click on the lines and change the angles and things of those speeds. And you might like to fiddle around with those. That's fine. But I'm going to take my Y and I'll just set it to fast. So it's going to be sufficient for my purposes today. So go back, find the simple tween and click on fast. So X is on fast and Y is on fast. So they're the same. So I'm not getting anything, looking a bit strange because I've got X and Y doing differently. And that's pretty good. So that's changed the ease a little bit. Now my rocket's following that path and it zips off. Not bad. The next thing I want to do is I want to have some stars. And I want to move the stars. You can actually go and get some assets go and get a large picture of stars, or you can download the field of stars I've given you and import that to the library. So File, Import to Library. And when I get onto my library, there's my stars there. Lovely. Now, I want to make another layer. So I'll make a new layer. I'll double click and rename that stars. I'm very inventive like that. I'll drag that behind the rocket layer. So I want the rocket to be in front of the stars. And I'm going to put my stars into that layer. So I'll make sure I'm on the stars layer. In fact, it's a good idea to, so I'll drag my stars onto the layer. There they are. Not quite the right size, I'll change those sizes. But before I do that, I'm going to turn it into a symbol. Why do I want to do that? Well, I want to make it a tween as well. So I'll change it to make it a symbol. Now I'll resize my symbol. Excuse me. And I want to be able to move it around a little bit. So I think, given that I want it to move from one place to the other, I need to be able to find the edge of the stage. I'll make it a little bit bigger first. I want to find the edge of the stage. Now to do that, it's useful again to have our rulers. So I'll drag a ruler down. I'll put that around about the bottom of the stage. I'll drag another ruler down, put that at the top of the stage. And I'll line up my stars. Right click on my layer and create a motion tween. Move my playhead, there's my rocket. Yep, that looks okay there. But what I want to do is now move those stars. Oop, I've moved my rocket. I'll undo that. Go to my rocket layer and lock my layer. Not a bad habit to get into. Now I'll click on my stars and they're going to move down like that. So I'll move down like that in the last frame of the motion tween. There's my motion. I could bend it probably a bit too much. You need to be careful. Sometimes you can pull things off the stage or whatever. Let's play that now and see what happens. I've got the stars moving. And it's very jumpy at this stage. There's a lot of power going into the rendering of this animation. But that looks pretty okay. I think now, if we actually export the movie, so I'm going to go File, Export the Movie. And if I played it as an exported movie, let's save that first. And when I play it as an exported movie, it's going to play a lot more smoothly. Notice this. So this is when you can see it's playing a lot more smoothly and my rocket is scooting off into the distance. And that's my animation.